You're on a podcast right now called Within Reason. That's the name of this podcast. We like to celebrate the...
I'll leave right now. I'll get my coat.
Well, it would be the first time that's happened on this podcast, believe you me. Although usually a bit less politely that's happened in the past. I think...
did that happen with, what's his name? Didn't it walked out?
Yeah, it's slipping my mind. A certain Mr. Hitchens. I won't tell you which one.
I remember this.
Yeah, he did decide to stand up and leave. So, as I say, you wouldn't be the first, but I'd like to see if you could match the entertainment of 17 minutes on the way out.
I'm not quite sure what Hitchens' hissy fit was about entirely.
To be honest, neither am I. I think it might have something to do with being obsessed with drugs. I was talking to him for like 40 minutes, interviewing him about his drug decriminalization policy, the one that he wrote a book about, to which he told me that I'd been banging on about it for too long and that he was sick to death of the subject and also sick to the death of those who promote it and got up to leave, but not before spending 17 minutes at the door.
Berating you about...
telling me how much he personally disliked me. Yeah, I did actually see him again last night. It was the first time we've been in a room together. I didn't speak to him, but he was doing this event. It was like an election debate. So he was representing the Conservative Party and there were a few other people and there was a Q&A. It was quite an intimate audience. There was a Q&A afterwards.
I'm surprised Hitchens believes the Conservative Party is a Conservative
Well,
party.
He doesn't. He thinks that the Conservative Party deserves to be destroyed, but he's so fearful of Labour that he was telling people to vote Conservative anyway. So he was doing this sort of...
Intriguingly, of course, our first-past-the-post system allows you to correct against overlarge majorities. So my argument would be, if you're in a safe Conservative or Lib Dem seat, regardless of your proclivities, it is actually in the interest of the Labour Party for you to vote Conservative.
Mm-hmm.
The argument being that if you had a huge Labour majority, it would implode, serve only one term, and then you'd be effectively back to where you were when you started.
Yes.
That there is actually a serious problem about that because of the vociferous nature of left-wing politics.
Well,
people would get preoccupied with a lot of sort of single-issue obsessions.
Yeah.
And the whole thing would go doolally, which tends to happen.
Well, there are ways to sort of think about, in principle, how you might hack the system when it comes to voting. I'm actually interested in your philosophy of voting because as somebody who thinks outside of the box about unintuitive solutions to problems and how to solve this problem, you might not realize that, the way to sell more products might be to put the price up rather than taking it down, this kind of thing. When it comes to voting, a lot of people have these ideas about how, well, unintuitively, if you don't like the Conservative Party, if you're some left-winger who wants to see the Conservative Party destroyed, you might best vote Reform UK in this election because that's going to take votes. That's going to sort of make it more difficult for the Conservative Party if Labour are going to win anyway. Like,
there is a substantial right-wing body of opinion in the UK, which has always found an outlet through the Conservative Party, which has for the most part been comparatively reasonable, by continental standards. I think that might be careful what you wish for.
Yeah. Well, I'm sort of seeing a way to sort of destroy the Conservative Party, not by voting for Labour, the sort of weird ways of thinking about voting. I mean, like when you see people going to the polls and voting, what do you think they should be having in mind?
There's an advantage to a first-past-the-post electoral system, which is that you get a fairly reliable purge every now and then. Also true in the United States. Okay, so you do undoubtedly get the problem. I mean, interestingly, the Greeks have a system which is quite clever, which is that the largest party, it's proportional representation, but the largest party gets this kind of bonus of seats, which increases the chance of a majority. Yeah, they did invent democracy, so I think we ought to give them some credit. Okay, and it gives them a kind of bonus which makes a majority more likely. So you have a functioning government, but at the same time you still have this power effectively to reboot. Do a hard reset on your politics. When any particular party's been in power for too long, it's probably pretty good to have a purgative function. There's also the question of direct representation, which is there is a person who represents me. There's proper accountability, which you don't have if you have party lists. You have no particular control over getting an individual scoundrel out of the system.
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, there are Chesterton's fences, I think, in the first-past-the-post system. It whether it works well or badly, of course, depends on the particular breakdown of opinion. at any given time. I would also argue that I think voting for reality TV programs and Eurovision and everything else has slightly changed the nature of how people exercise a vote, in that they're more likely to do it for symbolic reasons, or for reasons of identity or statement, for performative reasons, than for actually instrumental reasons.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's
I think we have seen an element of that.
But that's what I'm interested in your views on when it comes to voting. We've got an election in this country next week.
Yeah.
And when you go to the polls, if you go to the polls, I don't know if you're a voter, are you thinking like, I'm going to vote, as somebody who like knows how crowds work and operate, how public opinion and purchasing decisions can affect company outcomes. When it comes to voting, are you thinking, I'm just going to vote for the party I want to win? Are you voting against the party you don't want to lose? Are you tactical voting?
Well, you could tactically vote to say, I live in Sevenoaks, which is a fairly safe Conservative seat. And I could, I'm not sure whether I will, make the not unreasonable decision that if Sevenoaks is not a Conservative constituency, that means that you would have a Conservative party of kind of 38 or 47 people or something of that kind. There's not much chance. There's not much liberal democracy in Kent. The Lib Dems have never actually made much headway in most of Kent. In local government they have, but in parliamentary constituencies, not much. And I could make a perfectly reasonable decision to say there needs to be some sort of competent opposition, and vote Conservative while pinching my nose. I haven't ruled that out.
Yeah.
As a perfectly, and that is, of course, using the electoral system to some extent. That's one thing you don't have in proportional representation to quite the same extent, which is the freedom to say, I wouldn't particularly mind a Labour majority, but a very large one. Bear in mind, of course, you also get the problem that you then get a huge number of members of the parliamentary party who have no ministerial role. So, and probably a huge number of them have no prospect of it. Yeah. Which is it's very good to have a reasonable number of those people, but a huge number of those people might make the whole thing unruly.
Yes. Yeah. I can imagine. It's interesting what you're saying about representation. I had a friend recently who was wondering, and this person is a right winger. He wanted to vote for a right wing party, but lives in a place where the Green Party actually has a pretty good shot of getting a seat. And he was like, well, I don't know what to do because I think that all of their policies are like total bunk. But because we live in a system where they can get lots of votes but not get any seats, I feel a slight duty to vote for the Greens, even though I hate them, just because I value democracy so much that I think they deserve to be represented in Parliament. But is it
No, that's perfectly reasonable. I might do the same thing.
Yeah.
In that there should be some Green representation in Parliament.
And so even if you totally dislike the party, even if you think it's like the worst thing in the world or whatever, there was still this incentive to potentially vote for them just for the sake of democracy.
There should be some reform representation in Parliament, by the way, because, it's, anything that has the support of 10 to 15% of the population
deserves a few seats.
Deserves a voice.
Yes.
Undoubtedly. And I think there should be some mechanism where that can work.